Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon, depending on where you're all sitting right now. Uh, we really appreciate your attendance here today. It's been a few months since our groups have gotten together for conversation, and the reason for that is there's been a lot of shifting and changing. You'll probably notice that there's new faces added to this conversation group. We've combined some groups. Tom Beard had the nerve to up and retire on us, so we started shifting around based upon who was available, when they were available. As we mentioned, we're going from every month to every other month, third Wednesday every other month. And so the groups have changed. But the heart of the conversation, which is having conversations about topics that you guys kind of put forth, is still the backbone of all these conversations. We're taking a swing here. We may have more than enough people to converse, meaning if you raise your hand and we don't call on you, Mel and Kevin and I are going to keep our eyes out for you. You don't have to do it electronically, but if you raise your hand, we'll probably see that. If not, just jump in. We're a family and you're allowed to jump into the dinner conversation. So keep an eye on every couple months, we'll send out the advance warnings. Today's conversation is kind of taking everybody's pulse, both in terms of how is your team handling this new craziness, where one of the more consistent things we're hearing is people are getting busier, offices are getting busier. Do you have enough staff to handle it? Are they dealing with it okay? And on the flip side of that, your clients, are they up to what they need to be up to be participating in trade shows again? Are they going back with different things, same things? Are they renting? Are they giving you enough time? And when you tell them there's not enough time, are they reacting humanly? So we're going to kind of jump into that, and it's probably going to require us calling on you guys to kind of volunteer what you're seeing and how you're riding the waves here. So let's start with classic. Yeah, we're busy. As a matter of fact, I heard that it's possible we're as busy now as we've ever been before. These requests are coming in at a pretty good clip. You guys are doing a fairly good job of saying, hey, clients, we need time. And a lot of the requests that are coming in do have time. Not all of them. We still get knucklehead end users who are coming to you say, hey, can I get it yesterday? And we do our best to say yes, but it's been challenging lately. We're getting requests for lots of rentals, lots of symphony units, lots of islands. Linears are strong requests right now. And it's coming from all over. It's coming from all over the country. So let's kind of just jump in here. Mark, I'm staring at your face in the middle of my screen, so I'm going to pick on you first. Can you share how what you're seeing and how your organization, Mark Incorporated, is kind of dealing with everything right now? What do you see?
Mark Bendixson Design LLC, to be accurate. I'm probably going to end up doing about as much work this quarter as I did all of last year. But my decision the last couple of years during the pandemic was, since it was kind of a forced, hey, let's try on retirement, see how it feels, a little prematurely. My decision was to downsize greatly, and I've still been trying to do that, but moving to downtown Minneapolis in a condo and get shot at doesn't really work in my plans. But I wanted to kind of get in a position where I could choose more of the projects and the people I worked with, so I could do less work but more enjoyable work. And that's working out really well. In fact, I'm doing work for a new client right now, and I tried really hard to talk him out of it, which I think is part of my new marketing strategy. So if they stick around, they're probably a good fit.
You said it's a new client. How did you get them? You're not, I don't.
The same way every independent designer gets their good clients, referral. I mean, every time Lee Knight has talked me into, hey, I got a great deal for you, Mark. 3 full-page ads for no money at all. And I'm like, Lee, it's not going to work. I'm going to get 5 phone calls a day from people that say, how much you charge an hour? Oh my God, that much? I got somebody here that'll do it for half that much, or quarter that much. Fine, I'll do it. I'll just work 4 times slower. Um,
How
Design
about,
isn't fungible. It's not a bushel of corn or a pound of aluminum. You can't put an hourly price on it and value it that way. Brad, you know that. I
but
mean,
when
you've
you,
got your results division. You guys are one of the exhibit houses that puts a value on creativity. Um,
well,
so
hang on, Mark, when a client asks you to give them a ballpark estimate, how do you calculate it?
the way I usually approach it is, how much do you want to spend? I'll have I did the last thing I did before the pandemic. I was working on a sports facility, practice facility for a college, and they were going after a donor to fund it. Um, it was a college down in Georgia, and there was some rich guy whose wife had just died. And I said, "How much you want to spend on it?" Oh, actually, how much do you think this will cost? And I said, about this much. And they said, the budget's about, 2/3 that. And I said, well, if you can do like 3 or 4 views of each one, and it doesn't have to be as perfect as a photograph, and you're not going to do more than one revision of each, yeah, I could do it for that. It'll be a good portfolio piece.
Yeah.
And they agreed. And then, of course, they had 4 revisions of each. And the coach wanted me to redo one of the projection room, because there was a can of Coke in one of the drink holders in one of the theater chairs. So that's how particular they were about the quality of the renderings. So I ended up doing 5 times the work I should have, but it's a
So,
nice portfolio piece.
so let me ask you last question. So the requests that are coming in, are they similar requests to the type of work you were doing X years ago, or are they different?
It depends on how many X years you go back. I mean, the last 10 years, I did
Go pre-COVID, go 2+ years.
2+ years. Yeah, I started doing some work for a client, for a clothing client of theirs, and then I ended up doing point of sale stuff for Nordstrom's for them. I did a showroom in LA for them. I did some private shows for them, Complex Con, where they have, like Kanye West will do a concert in the afternoon, and then they'll open up the show, and clothing buyers would go in there.
So that it helps the people listening in. Is it uh, similar work? You're working on similar thing. It didn't that drastically change in one direction or another.
Yeah, yes and no. Some of it's more like South by Southwest than a trade show,
Okay.
which is stuff you're probably more familiar with from your movie days. Um, but a little different, yeah. But I've done more non-trade show stuff. But right now I'm working on a private trade show, the trade dress and the entrances and the registration and all that. But it's for a private show for a Fortune 100 company
Mhm.
that, they do once a year for all their partners, if you will.
Great. Thanks, Marco. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Uh, all right, Mr. Fallberg, uh, is your team weathering the storm these days, the onslaught of new business? How's things going on in your neighborhood?
Well, Mark was talking. I was over on another screen trying to pull up the financials and see where we are. But we had forecast that we would try to do 90% this year of what we did in 2019, and we're on that track or better at this point. I might have talked about this before, but we held on to 2/3 of our staff, throughout the pandemic, and we're back up to 80% or more. So I think we've been in a pretty good, position to be ready to serve our customers and so forth.
Hang on. Do you have all the employees you want right now?
No,
Okay.
no. I think we're being a little careful right at the moment. I mean, everybody's a little freaked out about the war, in Russia, oil prices, inflation, the possibility of stagflation coming up. So the one thing we don't want to do is stick our neck out too far. But um, you know, uh, if we're at 90% or better of the revenue, but we're still at 80% of our people, that's kind of a mismatch, and everybody's working really hard right at the moment. It's in the shop in particular is a real problem for us. That could be a Georgia unique thing. You know, the movie industry here has taken a lot of the carpenters, and so has residential and commercial construction. So that's been our biggest challenge. We've actually engaged the University of Georgia's Small Business Development Center to help bring some some of their business school professors to help us in all kinds of different ways. Free service funded by the SBA, by the way. Check your state; you might have the same thing too. So the first thing that we met with them about, though, was, what can we do more than what we're already doing in terms of trying to find, recruit, retain people. The one problem that we haven't had is we really haven't had turnover. We had, as we were coming back last July, we had a few people that we had stuck with throughout the pandemic that decided to do something different. I think it was 4 out of 80. And since then, we really haven't lost anybody, and we've been adding some people. So, but yeah, no, I think, we were talking about workforce development as being one of the biggest challenges that we had as an industry before the pandemic. You go on the show floor and everybody's 55 and older. I'm over 55, So I think that that's going to continue to be a problem, and a big one, particularly coming out of the pandemic.
So I know your organization well, and someone says exhibit us to me. One of the first that comes to mind is your teams, and I mean that with a capital T. Your teams, esprit de corps. They work well together. Sometimes they play together. You have a good group that works well with each other. Has that remained intact with as busy as everybody is, especially in the shop? Are we still skipping down the hallways together, holding hands, getting coffee? Is it a strong group?
Well, the answer is yeah. I mean, as far as the personal relationships go, we've got a mature organization with people that have worked together for many years, and that we held together, as I already said. There's the stress at the moment is our shop is currently working 12-hour days. They're doing 60 hours a week. They've been doing that for weeks now. They've been doing 50-hour weeks prior to that. We've been on overtime since last August when the business started to come back. That's wearing thin on a bunch of guys out there that are also in their 50s, and finding new young people, new people, as I've already said, is a real challenge. So, when you're worn thin and you're tired and everybody's working really hard, nerves can fray between the typical conflict between sales and design that are trying to push revenues and sales, and all the people that have to deliver that, and it's adding stress right now. We personally have a big push that should be over March, April, May, with not over, but at least having a little breather after May, as we roll into the summer. And frankly, the whole group's going to need a little bit of a respite.
Gotcha. Great. Thanks for the input. Mr. Libator, we talked to Mark, who's a one-man band. We've talked to Brad, who's got a fairly good-sized group. You're somewhere in the middle. How's the world affecting you these days?
Well, the world is ever changing, as we all know. With a group that's just a handful of us, we're all back. First quarter was not as strong as we'd hoped. We experienced a lot of cancellations back in December when Omicron came out, more than I suspected. We focus a lot on the service side. We've also gotten a lot more into lobby and corporate environments, which is really strong into second quarter and the third. We're booking out installations into the summer, which is a plus. More offices around our locale in a mid-sized city our folks are coming back in, as opposed to some of the larger metropolitan areas. But that also hurt us on the show side, because there are a lot of companies that are more conservative in our area, and some of our key clients haven't gone back to shows yet. They're planning to go back here into second quarter, and most of them into third, especially as the cycle of a lot of their events come around in the fall. So I think that'll make for a very positive year as it comes along. The ability to qualify has. One, it's a hand that's forced because of timelines. Not everyone is receiving the news that no, you can't get your display in 2 weeks, when they were used to that type of rhythm with the size team and that we had or have, and being agile at that size would have typically allow us to do that. And you can do some things, but the reality is the volume and the fact that especially as we get into third quarter, or I'm sorry, second quarter, and the shows are on, period, the end, folks that decided to wait in first quarter are now coming to us and realizing in some cases they're not going to have their new stuff in time because they decided to sit and wait, which was frustrating even after you tried to coach them along in that respect. So
I was going to ask you,
yeah,
are you and your team building in the part of the conversation when you're at the outset of a project about timelines these days? Is it part of your new?
yes, it's the first part of the conversation. And you know, when you look at a trade show, if they don't have a booth, and we are acquiring some new customers as of late, some of them not having booths due to exhibiting, that's a real detriment because the time frame is what it is. The show is on. If it's an environment and they're going to do an open house, it's different. They can push that back. I just had one earlier today that I pretty much disqualified them. One, I knew their budget was too tight, but two, their time frame was unrealistic. Well, they want to push their time frame out to September. Now they're going to have to push their budget out to realism to be able to accomplish what they want to do. But they're deciding to push off their event because they want to make it happen. Now, again, all the stars have to align there, but I've seen that over and over with different things. So it makes for a bit of a rocky start in terms of unpredictability when folks wait to the last minute and you're trying to push that stuff through. And then good clients that you've had all of a sudden decide, okay, we're back on the meter. We're going to this event. We decided 3 to 4 weeks before. Wow, that's really close call. Can we repurpose something? Just do new graphics or something to get them off the road, or rentals or something like that.
Are they not sympathetic, but do they understand when that is explained to them?
Most of them understand. We've had to pass up some things because of it, which obviously hurts. Definitely.
Yeah.
The new customers we're getting. I'm running a test with about 20 other people on LinkedIn. A month ago, I didn't know 3/4 of those folks. They're in unrelated industries. They happen to be in my geographic area within about 70, 80 miles mostly between Harrisburg and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And what we're doing is every week we're pushing out a LinkedIn post at a specified time on a Thursday morning. And we're all cross-referencing the other respective members in this group's posts in that period of time within an hour time frame to get better, more eyeballs on the posts. For example, you know, I could put up a post before, and after a week or two, it might hit 1,500, 2,000. I can hit 4,500 now within a few days on a post based on having enough people comment on that particular post in a specific window of time. And it was working really well for the first 4 to 5 weeks. And then all of a sudden I noticed, I almost think the algorithms figured out the pattern because we're doing this as a 12-week run. But the good news of it is it's generating leads that I can then pass off to our team to close. And I believe 2 of those have closed just in the last few weeks from starting this concept.
Wow, you're actually providing leads to your salespeople. That's really good.
Well, it's more in our case, it's our designers and project managers that do the closing in many cases. So we don't have a dedicated sales team. As a small boutique size, I'm the one that generates those lead opportunities, and then I qualify and pass them through.
Great. Thanks. Jocelyn.
Dan?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Hi, Dan. It's Jody Valentino. I'm with Exhibit Style, and I was just curious, can I talk to you more about that after this meeting, about what you're doing and how you are marketing in social media? Because I'm kind of just starting out and overwhelmed with all of that.
Okay. I don't know that it's going to be this afternoon based on my commitments, but I will do that sometime in the next week.
Yeah,
We'll
I'll
reach
just
out.
shoot you an email whenever it's convenient.
Sounds good. Happy to help.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Jocelyn, sorry about that. Cut you off. So you're muted, by the way. Tell us how things are going on in the world of wells.
We are, in my opinion, just about as busy as we were at this time in 2019. we have worked very hard for months to tell the clients that the turnaround time, production times are much longer than they have been in the past. And for the most part, they have listened. Every now and then one of them trips us up, and I think maybe had to turn down one project because it just couldn't be done. But for the most part, we're busy. I'm seeing that clients are wanting to slightly upgrade, and I mean slightly, but they're wanting to look a little more professional on the show floor, which is really nice. Maybe a click up from banner stands in some cases. So I see that as really promising. So,
Do you have all the team members that you need at this point?
we would probably like to have more. We're surviving. We are very busy, but we've always run pretty lean and managed to make it through. And we were able to keep our staff through the pandemic. We lost one due to retirement and found another person that is fantastic. We feel very fortunate. So we're clicking along fairly well.
Great.
And a lot of it is due, frankly, to Nicole, who worked hours and hours and months on keeping things together financially, working on loans, working on everything possible. And our whole staff, they were fantastic. You couldn't ask for people to be more committed and more dedicated to the company and to our clients. So
That's great.
yeah,
Tremendous.
it really is. It really is.
Well, that speaks to the whole organization. That didn't just happen. Way to go. Amy, how's things in barbecue land?
Yeah. We are busy and we are adding to the staff. We're up to 7 people now, which we were down. We had 3 for a long, long time, and just recently have had to go ahead and hire. We're seeing a lot of rentals, lots of rentals. We have a video wall that just is constantly being rented out. And people are going back to shows. That's what we're seeing.
Do you have the team that you need? Do you need to add more? I know you've got to keep an eye on the throttle, but is it appropriate right now, the amount of work and the amount of employees?
Right now, we're good. What I need to hire next, which is going to be a very tall order, is we really need a shop foreman. We've got some carpenters in here that are kind of green. So the next thing that we're going to do is estimator and foreman.
Amy, I have a question for you because you mentioned rentals. Is the rentals because of budgetary reasons or because the client doesn't know what they want as far as a purchase, so a rental just serves their purpose for now?
The person that's constantly renting our video wall, I think they eventually would like to do something. I just think that they don't really know what they want to do yet. And so and then their shows are one right after the other. And so it doesn't give them much time to prepare for a big custom build right now. And then the other one, he rented it a few years ago and just wants to rent it again. He likes it. And another thing is that the shows are like so close together that there's not enough time to get their booth from one place to the other. So they have to throw in a rental in between. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Real quickly before I turn the page on you, I like asking this one, if you had a fairy godmother that came down and said you could grant one wish with regards to your business, what would you add, take away, or change right now?
I would love to have my old foreman back because he left and got a nicer job at a bigger place during the pandemic. And I would love for him to say, hey, things aren't working out. I'd like to come back. And I'd be like, you bet. But yeah, that's my wish.
Okay. Stacy, how's things where you are?
Hi, sorry I was late. I had technical difficulty, so getting in.
No problem.
So how's my business? It's a little slow still. A lot of my clients that are supplier diversity have not decided to go live yet. They have not traveled in 2 years. So
Yeah.
some of those clients are kind of on hold. So I do have some new opportunities. So I did spend some money on local advertising. So I've been receiving calls. So that's a blessing because that hasn't happened. I usually don't get business from my own state, which is kind of weird. And my largest client has been busy. So thank goodness for that. So I've been doing a lot of stuff, not a lot of large booths, very small. I think people are still skeptical here in Minnesota about investing or doing something. They flat out decide to do nothing instead. So
are you feeling any kind of wind that might be changing, or is it that's what it's going to be for a while from forecasting?
well, I think it is just recently changing. Some of the challenge was here in Minnesota, they put the mandate on in Minneapolis for proof of vaccination, and it really affected everyone's business here in Minnesota. And then they decided to lift it because it affected businesses so poorly that they reversed it like 3 weeks or 4 weeks later. So I don't know if that's part of it, that everyone here is a little skeptical still with all the stuff that's gone on here. But and then in terms of corporate, I don't know why corporate is, for the supplier diversity, why they have decided flat out to do nothing. But I mean, we're talking major corporations said absolutely no travel. So last year I shipped a booth to the show, and at the time it hit the show floor, they said, we can't go to the show, and I shipped it back. So that's kind of been some of the things going on here. Some of the new businesses, like I said, smaller businesses that are looking for going to a hotel and doing smaller shows, like an 8-foot versus 10.
Is there any non-show business, lobbies, permanent displays, retail?
There probably is, but I haven't been marketing that, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's been a little slow, but I've been busy lately. I'm praying for those to turn over because it's been a lot of bidding and quoting, et cetera. So, but a lot of repeat business, a lot of rebranding of existing hardware. So it's reprinting tons of graphics, et cetera. So I've been doing a lot more than that than an actual physical 20 by 20, which is kind of a bummer. But I also moved, we bought a storage unit. So all of my assets had to be moved to the facility. So we've done that and put in racking and done all that kind of.
So I don't want to segue
stuff I don't
too much
like.
here, but that brings up a point that we're going to mention towards the end of the conversation, which is storage rates. Now that you've moved your properties off into another, you invested time, energy, and probably money in that. Have you changed your storage rates because of that?
I did actually raise them because I figured, oh my goodness, I've been storing a lot of these booths for over some of them for 2 years. They haven't left the building. So I said,
So
yes, we
what is the
increased
going
rate.
rate for storage for all of you guys right now?
So let me jump in and do that.
Sorry.
So no, that's perfect timing. I could have paid you to say that just then. So a few months ago, actually a couple of years ago, and then again a few months ago, I reached out to maybe a dozen distributors and said, if you're willing to share what your current storage rates are, we'll black out your name and give it a geographic territory and share it with the others who also gave us storage rates. So I think I got 9 or 10 out of the 12 responses. And as I promised, I sent them out. Well, it's now become a larger conversation, and we're going to be asking distribution, all of Classics distribution, to participate in a send us your storage rates, send Harold your storage rates. We will, again, we'll put a black magic marker over your eyes so nobody knows it's you. We'll categorize by East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, some sort of geographical grouping, and share with you. So what we've seen already, and I can tell you from the short list that already we reviewed a couple months ago, it's all over the place. It doesn't mean it's not changing, but we had from I doubled my rates to I do it for free because I use that as a marketing push to get new clients or steal clients. So it's kind of all over. It's been all over. But you all know my email address. If you're willing to, please send me what your current storage rates are, and we will, again, we'll protect your identity and detailed location. And if you want, Harold, don't even give that. Just send it to me, and I promise we'll handle your rates with care. And everybody who sends in will get all the list of everybody that responds. So thanks for asking me. That's good. I assume we'll get yours this afternoon. Yeah.
You know, Brad's got a question.
Fire away, Brad.
I was just going to add to that EDPA does their economic survey every year. I don't think we did it in 20. I'm not sure if they've sent it out for 21 yet or not, but at least all the way back to 19, they have what things cost. So out of all of the companies that participate, I think there were maybe 41. It was $1 billion worth of representation. Everybody would put in what their rates were, including storage. 26 cents a cubic foot for crated is what my recollection is from 19, but you might want to pull that data too and add it to or compare it to what is being reported to you, Harold.
Gotcha. Kevin, do you think it's appropriate to talk about drayage at this point since we're talking about storage?
Sure. Yeah. The only thing I'd add on storage is just to give you a little bit of a peek into it is across the board. And some of it you can kind of regionalize and look at, but we're seeing rates from Brad, what you were just mentioned, all the way up into the, I think 70, 80 cents range. And a lot of the conversations that I've had with distributor partners they're utilizing this year to kind of take their first bite, like engaging their clients saying, hey, rates are higher. I can't go from here to here. And we understand that, but this year we're going here. And then just so you're aware, next year it's probably going to be here. I'd rather have a good conversation with you rolling into 23 saying, hey, we didn't have to go as high as I thought we were going to have to, rather than take a big leap this year. So there was one in the Midwest that's went from 26 to, I think, like 38 or something at the beginning of this year, but with an end plan of being closer to 50 cents.
Thanks. So I'm going to mention real quickly an intro to drayage, and then Kevin, I'm going to throw it back to you to play Jen for this. This last week, Jen and I attended the Natural Products West Expo in Anaheim, which was jam-packed. It was a very, very busy show floor, both in terms of exhibitors and attendees. I was thrilled to see that. I haven't seen that in a few years. But the reason I'm bringing that up now is to share that one of Classic's distributors had a client there, and they were giving out water. And they got, at move-in, they got a drayage bill of $55,000. And of course, I heard that, and everybody's first reaction, what the hell, 55,000 to move product from a loading dock, X number of feet to a booth. And it turns out the water bottles, they were giving out free samples over the 3 days at multiple locations throughout the show hall. Hence, was it 37 cents a pound? I don't have the number in front of me, but a water bottle by itself weighed a substantial amount. And $55,000 later, when I was talking to Jen about this, she said the client, the end user, wasn't aware of that yet. I go, what is the distributor waiting for? I guess after the show, they were going to break the news to him. But Kevin, I know Jen has a project coming up with drayage similar to what we're doing with storage. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, on that, just to wrap up that Expo West thing, I think the bigger surprise was it was one of the platinum sponsors for the show, one of the marquee key sponsors for Expo West, and they were not aware at all. And really, it kind of didn't drive what we're doing, but it played a role into why we want to talk about this a little bit today, is kind of what you're seeing in changes in drayage. The two big standouts are A, more expensive at some shows, but B seems to be the shift in a lot of shows to the just per pound instead of the hundredweight. So curious more than anything else, Jen and I are tracking that. So anytime you get a show sheet, again, keeping everything anonymous, but what we're doing is we're tracking city, show, therefore industry, and whether or not it was per pound or it was hundredweight. And then trying to we've been doing this since the fall. And so really gathering, between now and hopefully June, even more of that so that we can kind of come back to these conversations with, okay, here's kind of, what the landscape seems to be shaping up as. Would love to hear from you guys on that. We have seen, by example, as high as $5, just a little over $5 a pound. Very small city hotel show, but in Seattle, we had at the Washington State Convention Center, a show that was at like $3.17 or something like that a pound for drayage coming in. It was ridiculously high. So throwing that out there, for the case of this conversation, to share with us what you guys are seeing, hearing on that, but also an invite to please email Jen, Harold, myself, any show sheets that you get along the way or that your project managers get along the way, because we'd love to capture that and be able to present that back in our May, June calls.
Kevin, let me be a first grader here and ask a primary question. $3, $5 a pound. What is the initial justification we're hearing that they crank the prices up so much so drastically?
I'm going to let the smiling Mel White answer that question. You're on mute.
I don't know if there is an answer. I think one of the things that if you think back during the pandemic, and there was a lot of conversations by the GSCs and pressure on the GSCs to eliminate the surprises of drayage or material handling. I mean, no one likes to see that bill, 24 hours into the show and see that shocking number, and they had no way of kind of estimating. So they made a commitment, and the commitment was, all right, we're going to kind of demystify the process. We're going to eliminate a lot of the special handling rates. We're going to start charging you a per pound rate coming in. Well, the funny part about that is they have eliminated the surprise in that you get a large bill, that you don't know what that large bill is going to be going in. And now the surprise is, oh, my material handling versus my drayage is double to triple what it was pre-pandemic. So the surprises are still there. It's just they've eliminated the mystery part of it. Why they're doing it? I mean, I don't have a clue why GES or Freeman in particular are doing it, other than they think they can get away with it. And in fact, for years and years, and I won't go down this road, I'll just do it in a minute. For years and years, I've been on this bandwagon that we have to do a better job of kind of coaching the exhibitor to really exert their rights, to talk to show management, talk to the GSC, let them know that what's going on is unacceptable. I guess I'm getting less sympathetic because the exhibitors refuse to do that. And so the rates that they get charged, because they're unwilling to stand up for themselves. And I think there was a moment here a year ago or a year and a half ago where we all said, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to transform the industry. It needs to happen. Let's make it happen. And unfortunately, it's not happening.
Harold, before we jump to Mark, let me just add the feedback, not from everybody, but the feedback from distributor partners like yourself is their clients, the majority of their clients have this comment. Are these guys just making up for the last 2 years?
Yeah.
So that impression is obviously very distasteful. True or not, that seems to be, perception's reality. But Mark.
Yeah, one thing I should add to this is people need to realize, and a lot of people that have been around for a long time do realize this, is drayage isn't just drayage. And if you went to exhibitor show, you saw this. If you went to exhibitor show and you exhibited and you were classic, you probably had a decent show because there were a lot of other people there that buy exhibits and exhibit stuff. But there weren't a ton of people there that were exhibit managers that were going to classes. And so if you're Exhibitor Magazine, those people that buy, $2,800 3-day passes to go see people teach classes that are there teaching classes for free. God bless Lee Knight. All these years he's had the, Tom Sawyer, Aunt Polly might let you paint the fence if you're really good business model, where he charges a ton of money for people to be free labor for him. He didn't make out that great, but there's a lot of shows that do that. And so when the American Association of Widgets comes in and says, we want really deluxe aisle signs, and we want an opening cocktail party, and we need 6 staff offices on the floor, and we need this, and we need this, and we need this, and we need this, free from Freeman. Freeman says, all right, well, we'll just put it in the drayage bill because you're the one that's selling the booth space. We don't touch that. But the only way we can get those freebies to you is put it in the drayage. So when these people are paying drayage, they're paying a cover charge basically as well.
Yeah. Brad, you're right. I saw your comment there, but Jody, we're going to swing back. I don't want to miss you. I know you're a seasoned vet selling our industry, but your new business Exhibit Style is fresh and new. How are you tackling the new waters out there?
Well, I am very fresh and new with my company. I was talking to Dave Brown this morning because we're both back to old school sales. You go from having an established client base to drumming up new business, and that's where I am now. And that's why I jumped in on Dan. I'm like, well, how are you doing that? Because I always had a department that handled marketing, social media, all that stuff, and now it's me until I can afford to do more. So I'm finding right now I'm having the opportunity to send pricing, send quotes. Earlier, I just really started diving deep into this over the past, I'd say, month. But I had some opportunities to bid things. I'm waiting to see what will happen. I had some that just decided to hold off, not go to the shows, kind of attend, not exhibit. That was a little disappointing, but I'm not at the level where most of you all are. I'm pretty much pounding the pavement and just trying to get the opportunity to get in there. I have some previous clients that weren't happy with experiences that they're having that have reached out. So that's all. Just last week, I announced my website. So now people know how to get a hold of me, and they are. So that's encouraging. But as far as anything to comment, I'm taking notes and listening to what you all have to say about what you're experiencing. The pain of retaining a staff that carrying them through the pandemic, and everybody's overworked, and it's been a long haul for a lot of employees. I'm not having to deal with any of that yet. I'm just trying to get some business.
Well, this will sound obvious, but let me say it anyway. So there's a number of folks on this call particularly. This industry, more than a lot of others, is very helpful. Let's call it friendly competitors. Listen to the conversation that we're having here this morning. We're sharing what's going on in our own businesses, and that has hopefully positive benefits for those listening. Everybody on this call, I would venture to guess, would be more than happy to help you with ideas, or if you need somebody to build something. I don't think you have a shop in your basement since the last time I was visiting. There's a lot of folks here who are willing and happily raising their hand to help. So don't lose sight of the fact that you're surrounded by people that are encouraging, and congratulations on the new business. Amy, was that a hand?
I saw that. Yeah.
Amy, you're muted. Amy. There we go.
Sorry, I just wanted to let you know we'd be happy to help, Jody. We're in Kansas City. I don't know where you're located at.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay,
Great. Thanks, Amy.
you're welcome.
Mark, did you raise your hand again? Mr. Bendixson, no?
No, but Ohio's good because Intel's building a new fab plant there, so it could be the next Silicon Valley.
Mr. Berman, want to share a little bit? You're also on the scheme of things, you're not Zarnowski or Dursey, you're on the smaller side. You started the conversation when we first joined by saying things are picking up. What are you seeing?
Well, things are good. Right now we're busy. Some of that is shows going back on their normal schedules. And what we're seeing with customers is, some are being hesitant with making commitments, and others are doubling down and going crazy. So it's all over the place. Materials, there's difficulty getting certain things. We're experiencing some difficulties with shipping right now. Shipping companies not meeting commitments and
promising and then not delivering.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or missing service levels, that sort of thing. And but no, things are good right now. So not complaining. It's tough getting back into the swing, but it's when you're away from it for a while on a regular basis, it took a little while getting back into the groove. But
yeah, you know what I've been saying when we got back from exhibitor show a few months ago. I don't have my show legs back. Standing up and walking from the 6 miles from your hotel room to the floor and back and forth a few times over the next 3 days. Yeah, it's it's riding a bike, but you got to flex the muscles to get back into your tip-top shape. Tony, I don't think we've called on you or heard from you. How's things in your neck of the woods?
We're doing pretty good. We're very busy. We're looking to hire potentially another account manager just to handle all the business. So that's exciting. We have like an app that's coming out, and that's really awesome. It's going to be basically a way to communicate pictures and information about project updates to our customers from the show floor. But it's also hard getting everyone to adopt it on the show floor because they're so busy to even learn something new and to bring something into their daily habits. So that's a good problem to have, I think. But yeah, we did a lot of, I moved into tech during the pandemic, and we did a lot of like system updates and added some or revised some new processes during the times of like no work, so that we could get a lot of that done. And now we're just getting to reap the benefits of the improved processes, which is exciting. But yeah, everyone's really busy right now.
Would you, if you could change something, would you change anything in what you see in front of you?
In the industry or in my company or what?
Take your pick.
Oh, okay. I think one thing that I'm kind of dealing with is and I'm sure everyone deals with this, is like a lack of welcoming change. We're not just arbitrarily like picking, to use this app or this new system because we want to bug you, but it will work better for the client and for like us as a whole. And also you have to have like something might be inconvenient for you to adopt into your like your job lifestyle, but it might benefit the company as a whole or the whole team. So you just have to like have a team vision when you're working with the company, and not just like, oh, well, this is annoying to me, I don't want to do it. Like you have to remember that's going to benefit everyone. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to service the client, not just, just the internal clients. So right now, I was in Italy last month. I came back. I did a marathon in Kansas and Lawrence. And then I'm in DC for the week. And then after that, I'll be in Texas. And I'm not sure where else. I am just kind of trying to live like day to day now, because I keep finding like all these fun things and fun people, and they like like they'll ask me to stay longer or whatever. And because I had everything planned out before, it was tough to do that. So yeah, I'm trying to
Well, see,
live a little
it sounds like you're adjusting to change pretty nicely, but the people that you work with, maybe not.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, but I also have to respect that I've been working here for 4 years. I'm 25 years old, and these city managers have been working their jobs for 50 years. Like they obviously they've been doing really well for 50 years. So it's just like kind of balancing. I'm trying to find points to sell them on these new apps, and just trying to get them to like have that team mindset. But yeah, it's a little bit tough, but it'll be fine.
Good luck with that. Nicole, we heard from Jocelyn, but I'd like to ask you to offer up some sage advice for us as well.
Sure. As Jocelyn said, we were able to hire early and get our team really going during the early phase of the recovery. Bounced around, got really busy. We were able to find a new warehouse manager, as Jocelyn said, but I want to add a pitch for hiring veterans, especially disabled veterans. If they are physically able, they can do absolutely anything in the warehouse. And there's so many relevant skill sets and training that they've received in the military. Our warehouse manager, I was giving some preference to interviewing veterans, but some of the things that he brings with him that I think is across a lot of veterans experiences, the following of procedures. We're a very high level procedure company. Equipment maintenance, the looking after the team, that whole philosophy of looking after the team, and the rapid deployment. So Max, who's in our warehouse now, he also was a paratrooper and a scout. So he's very curious, and he knows how to fold table covers and SEG graphics, and he knows that our clients out in the field are really relying on him. So he just jumped right into it. And so look for veterans to hire.
So just real quickly, did you seek out veterans when you were trying to fill a position, or did they just kind of bubble up and you discovered it that way?
No, I was seeking veterans. I think a lot of us in our company have military in the family, military folks in the family. And it just started to seem to me, I actually had met a couple of people who were working at Skyline with me here in Denver as well. They were recent hires when I was about to leave there, but they were jumping right into procedures and very organized. So
this brings up, just real briefly, I know we're running out of time here, but towards the end, does anybody offer finder's fees to your employees when they find employees and bring them in, or signing bonuses? Is anybody kind of compensating? Kevin, yeah.
That's actually going to be, we have a monthly celebration, birthdays, work anniversaries and whatnot that we call Pizza Friday. That happens on the third Friday of every month. That is this Friday. That's one of the things I'm going to be talking to the whole staff about. Totally came off of another one of the conversations like this, where success was found, and the rationale makes sense, which is offer an incentive. You're getting somebody who likely knows a little bit about our business because one of our employees is referring them to them. So there's been conversations about the good, bad, and the ugly. And likely there's probably someone who comes with a little bit of higher responsibility, again, because it's going to be a reflection on the employee if they are referring someone who's coming to work here. So we're going to dip our toe in that and share that with the company on Friday at our lunch, and just kind of see where that goes. Before we ask around though, I wanted to say to what Nicole said. We have an outsource hiring company that we've used a few different times, and I had a conversation, and I heard you say this before, and it stuck in my head. But I had a conversation with them on Thursday or Friday of last week, and we're looking for some more people in wood fab in particular. And that was one of the requests I gave them, as old military background would be well appreciated. And then Gina Procaro had recommended also just service. So whether it's police, fire, again, folks that firefighters or former police officers or whatnot as well, because they typically come with a more structured outlook.
Kevin, while you were sharing, Brad asked if you'd be willing to share how much you're compensating when employees pass somebody along.
The idea is, and I haven't landed on that just yet, but it's probably going to be either 750 or 1,000, and that they have to get past their 60 days. So if they make it past the 60-day review, then the employee who referred them would get that as a. And if you think about it again, Brad, it's a great question. I'm just looking at what our Indeed spend has been, what our outsource spend has been. It pales in comparison. If we get 8 new people on the floor and 2 new people in administrative roles, it pales in comparison if we're paying $1,000. Plus, we're probably getting a higher level of candidate, is the thought.
It's better than a 20% recruiting fee, for sure.
100%. 100%.
All right, we're about there. Mel, anything you want to toss in there as we wrap up?
Pardon?
Party? Did you say party?
No, I just.
Oh, sorry, pardon. Damn, I was all over the party. I said, as we were wrapping up here, is there any last minute things you want to toss in?
I don't know. I mean, this has been a great conversation. This has been really, really fun. This is a terrific group, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Great. Kevin?
No, but I do see that Dan has his hand up, so I'm going to let Dan take the final word.
There we go.
Well, a positive note. So last week, a smaller event in our locale in Hershey, Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Association of School Board Officials, there is a waiting list for exhibitors at that show. There were about 30 exhibitors. They're only 10 by 10 booths. That's it. And it's not a huge facility in Hershey, but they do have a convention center there, and it's maxed out. So that, and the show floor was packed. We have probably a few dozen customers throughout the show, and the folks that were there talking to them got good feedback. They had a great event. It's one of those 2 or 3 day association based events, but that is the type of encouraging news that really lifts me up.
Great. What a good note to end on. Everybody, you'll get an email notice, but we'll see you again in 2 months. Remember, it's now every other month, 3rd Wednesday. I appreciate you all taking the time to be here. It helps everybody that's on the call. Take care, everybody.
That's right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
See y'all.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.